Well, welcome to the channel, or welcome back. This is the 40-watt garage. I realize I've been a little lax on updating and posting projects. I get in cruise control mode and forget to drag out the camera and film some of the things that I've been doing. So this project is going to be rebuilding a set of Homecrest patio chairs. These chairs were bought new by my dad probably in about 1985. They're almost 40 years old and they are in remarkably good condition. This is the original webbing, which is now very crispy and dangerous. And after 40 years of use, the powder coating is chipping and flaking in certain places. So the project is to disassemble these chairs, break them down into their component parts, get them sandblasted, and then re-powder coated. I started researching this last year and got in contact with Homecrest, which is based in Minnesota, and I looked up in their archives, but I wasn't sure of what make and model chair that it was. So I sent them photographs and they were able to identify the style, the approximate build date, and also assured me that all of the replacement parts that I would need are still available from them. These plastic end caps on the tubing and on the arms. And then they also offer a rebuild kit for the swivel, because from the factory, these are riveted. This is a giant rivet in the center, which has to be ground off. And to properly sandblast and repowder coat, that needs to be disassembled. So they make a rebuild kit for the swivel, which is new bearings and a bearing race and fastening. So today's video will probably just be knocking these down and taking them apart, and then we'll continue on from there. So stay tuned. Okay, these older chairs, I believe they use a different fastening system for the webbing than either the newer models or some of the other manufacturers of patio chairs. It's kind of interesting. These are so old and crispy, they have no stretch left in them, and I'm going to replace them anyway. And the easy way that I've found to just remove these old ones is taking a tin snip and just slicing them and cut them loose. And you'll see why this is interesting. And what happens is the webbing wraps around. Well, you can see how crispy they are. This one just snapped. And it leaves, these are cut with kind of like a tongue that hooks into that rectangular hole in the chair frame. And I understand that the newer ones, they wrap it around and there's just a hole, and then a plastic button goes in to secure the webbing. So reassembly might be a little interesting, but the fun part is to get, since these are so crispy, they don't have any flex. You got to get them just the right way, and they will come out. We'll zoom in a little bit and you can see how this, if I can keep my hands out of the view, see how this wraps around. And then if you can just wiggle it the right way, that little, sorry about that, that little tongue will pop out of there. plastic end caps aren't too bad to get out. I found that if you have a thin bladed putty knife, and you can get in behind the edge and get it started, and then you can lever them out pretty easily, and once they're started they just pop right out. And then the same with the end caps for the arms. Just got to get a bite on it, get behind it, and they pop out. I'm really surprised. I'm surprised and thankful that Homecrest still offers the replacement parts for this. I'm guessing that they use these same caps and same profile arms on a lot of their products, and still maybe even today. So you can get these repair parts and these replacement parts from them. I think my biggest point of concern on these is where the coil springs go into the seat back. These coils here, and then the stub of the spring goes into this tube, and then it is secured in place by these screws. The springs are steel, the chair frame is aluminum. I don't know if the screws are aluminum or steel, but what I'm concerned about is either galvanic reaction, dissimilar metal reaction, or if just the steel springs might have rusted and they've got a coating of rust on them that's going to lock them into these tubes, and I'm not going to be able to get them out. But to find that out, we've got to get these screws out. And so these are a number 3 Phillips. So if you get a good screwdriver that fits tightly, get some downward pressure on them, and very gently work them back and forth. You don't want to snap them off. And this one is breaking loose nicely. The reasoning behind, you gotta have a good screwdriver that fits well, because you don't want to round out the head of the screw and then never be able to get it off. And so I'm just very carefully working this back and forth, hopefully cleaning the threads a little bit, and out it comes. And that is, looks like a steel screw. So 4 more to go, or 3 more to go. All right. That one is very stiff. We're going to try a little bit of penetrating oil on that. Let that soak. And while I'm here, I might as well hit the other ones. See if these other ones are any easier off the get-go. Yeah. It seems that penetrating oil does the trick. But yeah, this side was pretty easy. Didn't take a lot. It's moving, it's tight though. This is just going to take some back and forth and back and forth and try to get this screw out. But again, you don't want to snap it off. I think I'm going to let that penetrant sit and soak for a while, and we'll come back to this one in a little bit. If it's Just got to sit and soak. I'm going to get some penetrant in these holes. So hopefully it'll soak down into the tube where that end of the spring is, and work on that rust and see if it'll come apart later. But I'm going to let the penetrant work on this screw for a little bit and start on stripping down another chair. Okay, this is set for about 10 minutes with that penetrating oil soaking on it. And so I'm going to hit it again. I'm going to attack this a little different way. Again, I've got a really good fitting screwdriver and I can put some downward pressure on it. The shaft on this screwdriver is a hexagon though, so I've got a adjustable wrench on here, and then it gives me a little more freedom. Oh, it's really starting to move nice now. And again, I'm going to work it back and forth, try to clean the threads. And now, oh yeah, I can just do this by hand very easily now. So between the penetrating oil and the wrench, I was able to get it. And you can see how that penetrating oil has wicked right down into the threads. So one of the things I thought of while I was disassembling these chairs is to take a sample across several of them of the various straps. So I've got 3 uppers, or the backs, and then 3 of the lowers. The manufacturer offers replacement webbing pre-cut and to fit, but it is kind of expensive each piece. And I've also seen on the internet that bulk webbing is available that I could cut to fit. I haven't decided which way I'm going to go, but the interesting thing is with these is that fork shaped end. There's a better shot of it. That's on the tips of this webbing, and I would have to cut those, and that might get a little difficult because it tapers down and then goes to that tongue groove. And there's 8 of these per chair. No, there's 9 webs per chair. So that's 18 cuts times 6 chairs. It may be more cost effective to buy the pre-made ones. We'll decide and do some math and figure it out. But something else to think about. The other thing that's very fortunate is all 24 of those retaining screws for the springs came out without a hitch. None of them snapped off, none of them stripped the heads out. So penetrating oil is the key there. So, and then we're going to get into trying to remove the springs from the sockets on these tubes. So we'll have to see where we're going to go with that.